Howdy, howdy, boys. I've got a game, actually a series of matches today, just to maybe try to explain why I personally don't like the mid-rush on Two Brothers. I've seen this multiple times recently, got into a bit of a spat with someone yesterday asking them not to do this, and maybe this series of matches will explain why. I'm in the Vampire 2, just picked that up. Here's my build. I went back and forth. I can actually see some really interesting possibilities with a fully leveled commander on the Vampire 2 for like a super tanky, brawling destroyer build that could be really interesting and you know, bring a unique play style to the ship. But I don't quite have enough resources to fully level him and don't necessarily want to fully invest in him at the moment, so I've gone with a more standard build. Unstoppable and concealment and things like that. But yeah, later in the match you'll see someone I think on the other team is running that kind of regenerative tanky build, and I can definitely see some really interesting possibilities opening up for that to really define this ship as different from the Daring, which is obviously the easy comparison. At Legendary tier, they're the same hull, very similar statistics overall, some variation, you know, the single torpedo launcher on this one, slightly faster reload, crawling smoke, slightly longer sonar, but has the speed boost, no heal. Yeah, there's enough difference in stats that even playing them in a very similar manner. They are a different ship, but as we'll kind of see in this match, I think I still like the Daring better as it stands with a not fully leveled commander, not bringing that real unique flair to this ship. I didn't know, like, I would have rather been in the Daring in this match, probably. So we start off, get some Zorning Torps, the spread on that, 2 torpedoes on the right, like that is so classic for my torpedo launches. I'm sure it's just selection bias, but my goodness, like, what was that? Anyway, radar here by the Gdansk. This is an interesting, in a second I think I'm gonna, something that I didn't do in this match, but kind of watching it back, thinking it back, I think I see a place where this ship actually could have been better than the Daring, or possibly be able to do something. Here, it looks like he either whiffed his like radar and a smoke combo, or possibly I was just in that unstoppable range to have it fall off with Fox Flare. Maybe he's not running Fox Flare, I'm not sure. But anyway, the radar drops, I've already taken half my health. That is certainly, in damage, that is certainly one of the strengths of the Gdansk, and is going to be a big drawback of this ship, not necessarily specific to it as a ship, but the fact that the Gdansk exists. And that radar is just so powerful on a gunboat destroyer, it's undeniable. Here's my mistake. So right here, I wouldn't be spotted. What I should have done is just gunned it. The Gdansk radar is down. I still have my sonar up. I've got speed boost. I should have gone in. And one of the things about this crawling smoke that I've realized is you don't necessarily have to stay in it. If you're in this position where I would have dropped spot, I can zoom up and then slow back down to like re-drop spot if I need to, and then still be able to engage on this Gdansk. So I think in retrospect, that's what I should have done. It didn't matter all that much anyway. Yeah, oh yeah, that's a Daring beside me. Anyway, so he was zooming in on kind of the north side of the Gdansk smoke with cover from the battleships, and we take him down, kind of no problem. The bigger, rather than this, you know, I'll admit this is literally my first game in the Vampire 2. This isn't like, I do fine, but this isn't particularly amazing on my part. Target locator, boom, switches. I know there's somebody going mid. Like, it's not rocket science. We haven't seen anyone. This flank is totally overloaded. You see we've got a giant clump of battleships from our middle spawn coming over this way. You know, it's not like my team did anything particularly amazing. We sank the Gdansk. We've got a full overload on this side. The red team is down ships. I wonder where they could be. Oh, someone just launched a plane in mid. I wonder where they could be. Target locator flipped. I wonder where they could be. And now, like, look at the position of my team. We are 4 minutes and 20 seconds into the match. 1, 2, 3, 4 battleships, and now in very short order, 2 destroyers still have a shot into that gap in mid. Like, there's no trick here, there's no surprise, there's no, oh my gosh, we're so panicked about what's happening, there's a ship in B. Like, we all know, we all have a shot on it. And here's the gearing. Like, imagine if that gearing had been in D or at A, contesting either of those sides. You know, A is one. The red team won that flank because the blue team totally overloaded. Imagine that this gearing isn't stuck right here in this gap, that instead he's torpedoing or attacking this, I believe it's a Shima. Like, imagine that gearing is supporting the flank at A instead of pushing up into the mid to get, like, torpedoed and wrecked. I mean, our whole team is right here just waiting for him, and there's a Grosser Kurfürst right behind him. Like, say hello to a bunch of Shima torpedoes because he just sails easily back over here and torpedoes you. Like, amazing. I think he spent 5 minutes going up mid, didn't do anything for the rest of the match. Here, I almost do actually eat one of his torpedoes, but I noticed them, and it's just like, this didn't do anything. This did not do a single thing. Now, all this said, I'm sure there are people out there that are like oh, the time that it worked, and you know, totally threw the whole team into disarray, and I locked down so many ships, and blah, yada yada yada. Like, it can work. Like, don't get me wrong. Don't take this as going mid in Two Brothers is always a bad play. There's certainly times, and I'll actually talk about in one of the other videos, where I think it mostly did work, kind of, maybe sort of. We'll get to that. But this is why, like, these are two ships, a battleship and a destroyer, that basically didn't play. They might as well have been AFK for almost 5 minutes of the match, and did not accomplish a single thing. My team won D easily. We easily pivoted back to take out the gearing and the GK. The red team was at a complete numbers disadvantage at D. A was a little more evenly matched, and they did win A, but like, there's nothing happening because of these two ships pushing into B. Like, I easily would have been coming back this way anyway to try to slow down the push around from A. My team is still just pushing through D to C. Like, no one is worried or disrupted by this push. We're basically just taking it in stride as we do what we would have done anyway. Like, this GK slows us down a little bit. The gearing A to Shima torpedo, because again, you're stuck in this gap. There's no place to go. If you have any torpedo boats on the red team, they just fill up the gap with torpedoes. You're gonna eat some because there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. So yeah, like, this is it. This is why it's the problem, and we'll see at the end of the game that either the GK or the gearing really did anything. And I see this so often. Here I'm trying out the AP on the GK. I don't know, mixed results, a lot of shatters. Honestly, the accuracy felt not amazing. I don't know if it was just because, again, like, I think, yeah, I put up the Kleber video I had. I've been running the Kleber a little bit recently, and I have the accuracy skill active. Go watch my Kleber video. It's fun. Solo warrior. Wrecked what was it, a Brindisi in there. That was a lot of fun. So maybe this just feels a little bit worse because of that. But yeah, so, okay, cool. The GK goes down. He distracted some battleships, maybe a little bit. Like, this is, I think this might have been a triple division of battleships. I'm not 100% sure. But it's like, by the time they get up here to do anything, those battleships are still generally in position to fight. And even if they're not, like, the only way they're not in a position to fight at B is if D is a complete steamroll and they've just pushed all the way through D anyway. So it's like, at best, you're trading position up the middle to give up a flank. That's generally not a good trade, in my opinion. You might end up in, you know, like, maybe in capture the base or something like that. Like, if you can get up the middle and the enemy team is kind of stuck on that side, but still, it takes 3 minutes to cap a base solo. Like, and you're sacrificing 3 to 4 minutes. Here, I'm just going to skip ahead. We sank that Yamato. Obviously, this match is over. There's one red destroyer left. Like, there's nothing he can do at this point. I did want to focus on, it's super far away. I wish I was closer to watch this, but you've got the Red Vampire 2 versus the Sejong on our team. Like, this kind of should be an easy pick. The Sejong has had a decent game. It looks like he is broadside. I think if he had angled a little bit, you know, the Vampire has that good AP. I think he would have done better. But if you look at the Vampire's health, it really looks to me like he's either just not taking damage, but it looks like it's ticking up. That's the build on the Vampire that I'm really interested in. It's getting that tanky region. You know, it's got, the commander has a bunch of skills that you can stack up that get better as your health gets lower, and then you also have that regenerative health when you're in close proximity to an enemy ship. Unfortunately, when the levels are low, like I think you miss out on Unstoppable. The skill includes the engine incapacitation resistance part, and so I think there's a space for a really interesting kind of tanky brawling build that as your health gets lower, it's much harder to kill you, and then you also regenerate health. Like, that seems interesting to me. That seems like a really unique playstyle for this ship. I don't have enough mats to do that right now, but it looked like maybe he did, and that's just like, oh, that looks fun. That looks like it could be a really interesting thing where you could have these kind of edge cases. You're facing off against a light cruiser in close proximity, and like you manage to win because they just can't damage you enough. And I'm assuming the damage saturation also kicks in, and like I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that could be fun with that. But anyway, you can see that like we pushed around on both sides. They did manage to take out some of the ships. These battleships on my team, it's not like they did anything magical at the top. I'm not trying to like hate on them, but it's like because we faced an overload. Like we had 6 versus 3 or 4 ships in D, and it was even in A because 2 of their ships were not playing for the first 4 and a bit minutes. So I tried to get some resets there, cheeky. Didn't quite get it. Here we go, loading screen, blah, blah, blah. There we go. So, fine outing in the Vampire 2. It's fine. I think I'll still stick with the Daring for now. I think the Daring's overall easy, fine game, nothing special. Hey, actually made money. Okay, here we go. Next. Oh, sorry, I meant to point out that the gearing and the GK in that match had like 500 XP. Like there's just nothing to be done there. So here, take a look at our Kagero. Look, there's a cruiser at the south end of the gap mid. Our destroyer is in there. He's the only destroyer in the game. Me and one of the other crew, actually 2 of the other cruisers, I think of mines and a Congress, are just like, dude, please just come give us intelligence. You're not doing anything in there. He moves up a little bit. He saw that it was I think it's a Weimar that's coming up. So he's got sonar, he's got fast firing guns, it's a German light cruiser. The Kagero is just like sitting there at the mouth. He's been in that gap the entire game as we just begged for intelligence. And look, there's the cruiser. What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Oh, there goes the Kagero. It's just like, he did nothing. He did nothing. He sat in the middle for what? You know, that Weimar, we basically pushed him out of this side. The combined fire from the ships on this side pushed him out. Anyway, he was over here. He went back. And so he just like goes up the middle and gets a free kill. I think I actually cut it off. But then the Weimar pushes out here, and I just sink him because I'm like literally right here. Alright, yeah. And so here we have another game, and you see here's the Tashkent coming out. I don't know if I thought it was going to be a cruiser. Anyway, messed up the smoke, but anyway, I take out this Tashkent easily, and then there's a Pajarski right behind him that's going to go down super fast, so I'll just, spoiler alert, to try to get my remaining point in. I acknowledge that none of these pushes were particularly skillful. I'm sure there are people out there that will be like, oh, like, they did this wrong, all wrong, like, it should have been done. My overall point is, like, this all happened within probably 36 hours or so. I can't remember the exact, like, time frame, but this is all this week. This is why I always, like, if someone goes down mid, I'm like, no, just please get back.
Torpedoes astern.
3 games, 3 mid pushes, 3 awful mid pushes. Like, this is what I see. This is what I think of when people say, let's push mid. Because it just doesn't work. I think the biggest problem I have with the mid push is it relies on the enemy team being bad. And I would say that if the enemy team is bad and you're good, you're likely to win anyway. So you have better other options if you don't push mid. If you push mid, you are limited. You're limited in your maneuverability, you have just that gap, you have only one spot, and you're taking your ship out of the fight for a significant period of time. That's not ideal. So yeah, every time I see someone go mid, I just ask them to back up. Like, please back up. Because there's really, I would say I see it fail 90% of the time. So, if anybody else has great matches in it, show me. I'd love it.